This video is only one part of an in-depth review, so check out the rest at thegoodride.com. Thanks for watching. Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie and I'm here to talk Twin, Mind Expander Twin. And next to it is the Jones Mountain Twin, the Spring Break Powder Twin, and the Yes 2020. And I compared it a lot against the Jones Mountain Twin, but I'm also going to reference these guys here too, because they're probably more what you're considering if you're looking for a powder twin, where this is more of an all-mountain twin. Rode this primarily with my Burton Kendos and my Union Atlas, and I rode this in a wide variety of conditions, from a little bit of powder, not as much as I'd like, but the season kind of shut off pretty quick. Then got it on some regular groomers too. To give you a short summary, the Jones Mind Expander Twin has just a little bit more rocker, a little less camber than the regular Jones Mountain Twin, and it's made to be a little bit more for powder. It's got a very fun mountain freestyle feel on groomers, but then a very fun powder freestyle kind of feel in powder that isn't quite the super floater like the Spring Break Twin or the 2020, but it's still incredibly good in powder. Now let's talk sizing. I feel, again, kind of just like I do with the Jones Mind Expander, I feel like I'm in between sizes. The 54 feels a little small for me. The 58 feels a little too big. With the Mind Expander, the 58 feels great in the deepest of deep powder, but on groomers it feels weird. And this is the same with the Mind Expander Twin. I wish they had a 56. That would be perfect for my size 9 boots and my weight. Now, when it comes to shape, this is a directional twin, just like the Jones Mountain Twin. It has a little bit of setback on board, and you can set it back and get some directional float, but it's meant to be more ridden like a twin, just kind of like the Jones Mountain Twin. The camber profile is a very mellow camber between the feet, kind of like the old school Jones camber from like 10 years ago, where it's just a little mellow camber to just the end of the bindings inserts. And then from there, it's just a lot of rocker. So definitely less camber and more rocker than the Jones Mountain Twin. And when I got off the Mind Expander Twin and got on the Jones Mountain Twin, you could definitely feel there was a lot more camber, a lot more groomer competence. But both boards, very easy to skid a turn. And it's kind of like the Spring Break Twin in terms of camber, just like a mellow camber between the bindings and a lot of rocker. Although the tip and tail of the Jones Mind Expander Twin are lifted up on the sides. And then the total opposite of that is the 2020 over there that has camber from tip to tail, a very mellow camber with a hole in the middle that pops up. So it feels like hollow full camber on groomers, and then feels like an unsinkable camber board, which is really weird. It's hard for you to wrap your mind around in powder. Now let's talk flex. This is just kind of medium stiff. It's really stiff right here. Then in the tip and tail, it's softer, but not much softer. In comparison to the Jones Mountain Twin, this is a good bit softer everywhere. Now, comparison to the Spring Break, very stiff overall. And with the 2020, a little softer, but still a little more stiffer than the Jones Mountain Twin. So when it comes to butterability, the Jones Mountain Twin's a little easier, but this is still incredibly doable, especially at the 54, but the 58 was doable too. I think it's just that it has early rise in the nose, so even though it's a really stiff flex, when you lean back, you already have that leverage there, so it's easier to get this board to bend than it normally would be if it, let's say, it was full camber. Definitely for me, easier than the 2020 powder hole, but not by much, and almost on par with the Jones Mountain Twin, even with the softer flex. Maybe it's just because it has a little more camber, but they're both pretty easy. Maybe the Jones Mountain Twin's a touch easier, and the stiffer Spring Break there, that's pretty close to the Mind Expander Twin, but I felt like the Mind Expander Twin was a touch easier. When it comes to pop, I definitely felt a difference between the Mind Expander Twin and the Jones Mountain Twin in terms of pop. The Mind Expander Twin just didn't have that camber pop that the Jones Mountain Twin did, and The Mountain Twin had that softer, more easily accessible flex, so I could get it to bend easier and snap more. And lately, the Jones Mountain Twin is a much more poppy board than it used to be, so kind of cool. In comparison to the 2020, that thing popped harder than all these boards. And the spring brake popped pretty well, but it felt kind of more in line with the Mind Expander Twin. The flex personality throughout all the conditions I rode was pretty good overall as an all conditions ride, but in harder micro bumpy snow, it could get a little bit cranky. It wasn't like some of the ultra boards like the Ultra Mind Expander. That got pretty cranky in micro bumpy snow. This was more cranky than the Jones Mountain Twin, but still doable. The nose and tail really do clown shoe a lot and bounce, but by the time you get to the bindings, it's not as noticeable. It's a decent all conditions ride, but if I were to choose one board for all day riding, I'd probably take my Jones Mountain Twin. I just like that a little bit better. But in terms of powder, probably be the other way around. The base glide on this is exceptional. It is just like all the Jones boards. Yeah, their highest end bases glide a little bit better, but kind of their middle ground bases for Jones, their kind of entry-level bases, are still just amazing gliders compared to the rest of the industry. It picks up speed really fast and keeps its speed after you get it. It's also pretty damp, but not a total bomber. Now, when it comes to edge hold, there is a slight disruption in the side cut for both these boards, and they both felt about the same. I'd say maybe the Jones Mountain Twin has a touch better grip, but overall it's about the same. If you really want grip in hard snow and you plan to ride this in more than just powder, then you want the 2020, and the Spring Brake Twin grips the least. So when it comes to the turning experience, I thought this would be slow. And I rode the 54 and the 58. The 54 was definitely faster edge to edge than my Jones Mountain Twin 57, which I didn't expect. And the 58 was only a little slower than my 57 Mountain Twin. And that really surprised me. Just like the Mountain Twin, only more so, it likes just that kind of long drawn out S-turn, or that kind of like short straight line into a kicker that you would do. It tracks really well that way. And it's a fun turning experience, but I had a lot more fun on my Jones Mountain Twin turning on groomers, and that's where that board excels. But if you reverse that in powder, I'd be happier on the Mind Expander Twin. Surprisingly, the 2020, when I got it on edge, had a really fun turning and carving experience. The spring brake was kind of about the same as the Mind Expander Twin, just not as much fun on groomers, but both of them are very doable, much better than you would think for their design. Now, when it comes to powder, you can get a little setback on board with this and get a little bit of directional float, just like you can with the Jones Mountain Twin, but it's really not like the Mind Expander where you want to ride that setback. This is more like the Spring Brake Twin and the 2020 powder hole next to it, where you kind of want to ride this centered and really just treat this as a powder twin and really get that good, easy, centered float, which you don't hear me say much. I'm always saying directional float, but this is all about being centered on board and getting really good float. Now, I didn't get to get this in the deepest of deep, but I have had the Jones Mountain Twin in deeper powder than I should. I've had the 2020 powder hole years ago in deep powder when it was slightly different than what it is now. I've had the spring brake in waist deep powder, and this thing is just the floatiest of floaty. It's got a fast base, it's got amazing glide, just like the Mind Expander Twin, but I think this is going to be no slouch, and I think it's going to be great for what it is. The spoon nose in powder, it just feels so good, just so smooth. Some people who prefer more of a camber feel are going to like the 2020 better. Now, when it comes to switch, this is very doable either way, especially when set up centered, just like the Jones Mountain Twin. For park riding, I pretty much like 10 times out of 10 Jones Mountain Twin. This is more for backcountry mountain freestyle, and it's going to be great tracking into a kicker It's going to have a forgiving landing. It's very easy to land switch with this because it's practically a true twin. It's really going to kill it in powder, treating the mountain like a park. So overall, I think the Mind Expander Twin is a very interesting ride. I'm just happier with the Jones Mountain Twin as a daily driver. But if you're looking for a powder twin and you want something that just isn't full-on powder twin and still has some groomer capabilities and some mountain freestyle capabilities that might not be as strong as the Mountain Twin, but are good enough, this could work for you. All our reviews are a best effort, objective opinion from an average rider's perspective. There's no brand oversight, and we're free to say whatever we want. We send back everything unless it's a favorite, then we ask to keep those or straight up buy them. Now, if you need advice, fill out the eHarmony profile in the Contact Us section of the site. It's the only way I can help you properly. If you want to support us, and if what we reviewed appeals to you, it helps if you buy through our links. So, thanks for watching.